And welcome. We are here for another edition of Scotty's Hot Takes. And it's called Scotty's Hot Takes because, quite frankly, I haven't been able to come up with another name. I guess I gotta work on my creativity. But regardless of that, very happy to be here and picking up the podcast again. We didn't do one last week, but I figured we would cover a lot on the story I wrote a few weeks back in Super Dave. You gave me the idea on the merits of winning a World Series championship this year during the COVID-19 pandemic. But then DJ, he even gave me an even better idea, and he said, "Why don't we talk about winning any championship in any one of the sports
Perfect.
this year?" So it's something I wanted to get into, Dave. And first off, I'll lead into it this way. With the news that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have canceled football so far this year, and then there's news today that the SEC and the Big 12 they still want to play college football. Do you think that's feasible, and do you think they would be able to crown a legitimate national champion?
Yeah, when you told me that, Scotty, that two of the power conferences are going to sit out and two of them are going to play, and there's no feasible way that can work. They got to be on board. NCAA, how strong is the NCAA? Because you can't have two conferences sitting out. And I mean, that is a terrible look, isn't it?
I would think so, especially um, with conferences. The Ohio State, it's basically uh, been a factory for top picks in the NFL draft, cornerback. Say what you will about some of the Big Ten teams that have struggled for a lot of years now, like Nebraska and like Rutgers, but I just feel like they with a power like Ohio State not playing using the Buckeyes as an example because they're right here in our backyard. I mean, we're Buckeye fans. I just feel like how are you gonna crown a legitimate national champion
Without the Buckeye,
when
you can't.
superstar players aren't playing this year? If they do decide to go forward with this, I just don't see how they can do it when two Power Five conferences like that pull out of this.
And I tell you what, if you question the merits of winning a short season professional, what are the merits of winning a national championship when half the power conferences aren't even playing? I mean, there's no legitimate way you can call yourself a champion, right? Especially if the Buckeyes aren't involved. Buckeyes are little kids.
I feel like the SEC. I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, I feel like top to bottom, most of the years, it's been the best conference in college football. But not to again, Ohio State have had their falls that they've struggled in some big games on the big stage before, but it doesn't mean they haven't recruited, especially for the better part of a decade now, going back to Urban Meyer's first couple years. I think his first year at Ohio State was 2012, and then now with Ryan Day, I mean, they've just recruited at such an elite level. They've recruited like an SEC team, and that's I mean that's kind of the fear I have. If the SEC and the Big 12 are two of the Power Five conferences that are going to play. How are the Big 12 teams? I mean, granted, they've had some great offenses, Dave, but I just don't see the defenses in that conference. Most of them have been just so bad. They give up so many points. The tackling techniques are bad. I just don't see how you slow down some of the SEC powers. And again, that goes into the legitimacy of winning a national championship this year if they would play. I just think it's just cloudy. I don't know.
I just don't see two conferences going forward the season and two not. I can't see that happening. So, right?
I can't see it either. One final thing before we get kind of more into the merits of winning titles this year, but this was the final thing I have, just because it's interesting topic of conversation to me. Do you think it is possible? Everybody's saying it's highly unlikely now that if college football is picked up in the spring, it's highly unlikely you'll see guys like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence play because they don't want to hurt their draft stock. And it just wouldn't be, nobody would advise that if they're already going to be top 5 picks in the draft. Do you think one of those guys like a Justin Fields is looking at it saying, hey, if Trevor Lawrence plays here, if Clemson plays ball and I don't, he could have an advantage on me because he could go out, have another stellar season and pretty much cement himself as a number 1 pick, where it is if I don't play, I don't get that chance to show I could be the number 1 pick. Do you see any scenario where Fields tries to transfer possibly, or not Trevor Lawrence, but Fields?
First of all, you do run you do have the advantage if you have a good year, but you also run the risk of getting hurt right before the draft. And even if they do push the draft back, there's still not going to be enough time. So when you brought that up this morning about star athletes, seniors that are basically guaranteed 1 or 2 round picks, will they sit out? Or are some of these guys on the bubble? But if a Trevor Lawrence doesn't sit out, does a Justin Field being competitive, would he want to sit out? Spring football, is that what we're looking at right now?
Yeah, and what do you think, Dave? Because I'm feeling like if it's spring, they're gonna have to, like, right now it seems like there's no way the draft could be held in late April, early May like it typically is. At the very least, you would think they'd have to push it back to late June, July, don't you think?
Mid-July, I think it'd be the latest they could do it.
Yeah.
These guys report to camp in August.
It's definitely something that's everything is just a mess now.
Easy solution is just wipe it all out for a year. But when you're involved with kids involved this is their chance to play. It's not that easy. You want to turn your back on all these kids this is their last chance to play for organized sports. What do you do?
Yeah, because
you have an extra year eligibility, I guess.
So many of them aren't gonna have a career in the pros. So that's the tough part about it. What is it about? Less than 2% actually make it to the pros. So that's the thing that's really. It really is just heartbreaking. But switching to other sports, we were talking about the Indians and how they got shellacked on the way up here. And we have a comment from this is from our man, the Igniter DJ. He said Ryan Day has shown incredible leadership during this process. He cares about his players no matter what uniform they end up in. And to his point, Dave, real quick, to DJ's point, Ryan Day did say recently that if they're not playing football this year at Ohio State this fall, he's going to make sure he's doing everything he can so the guys that want to play can play. So even basically saying, like, if they would have the transfer, he's about, giving them that chance to shine and then the best future possible, improving their stock and playing. But to your point, like you said earlier, they can also hurt their draft stock. And an injury could derail it as well. So,
Bosa had a minor injury and just sat out his whole senior year, regardless if it was. So seniors are doing that anyway if there's an injury risk. So imagine in the spring.
And it's a topic for another show, but I think more and more, Dave, you're going to see star college athletes, the big-time mega stars like a Joey Bosa, a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Fields. I think you're going to see more and more of them over the years pulling out of bowl games and
it's going to mostly be running backs.
If they already know that they're going to be a top, because at this point right now, Dave, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence are both guaranteed top 5 picks. So
it's going to happen with running backs mostly because running backs, their pro careers aren't that long. So if you can knock off a year or two in college running the ball, if you come out as a freshman and you're like a Heisman candidate as a freshman running back, there's a good. Why waste another 2 years running the ball 400 times? Like
you're right, and the shelf life is so short. You're lucky. You're really lucky if you get a good 10 years, and 10 years is pushing it. And usually, once running backs hit that 30, hit the age of 30,
that's exceptional.
There's a big time fall off. So we'll see. But I started talking about baseball, and we were talking on the way up about the Indians last night. And for the first time all season, the pitching wasn't at an elite level, or at the very least, it didn't keep them in the game throughout the entirety of the game, as they gave up more than 4 runs for the first time all season last night. And I just wanted your thoughts. I know we talked on this a little bit already, Super Dave.
We prepped
with the positive test with the Marlins. They're back playing. The Cardinals still haven't played, to my knowledge.
Look at the standings, or some teams that, like the Marlins, are like 9 games that haven't even played like the other teams in the division.
Yeah,
7-3 or something.
It's crazy. It's crazy because the Pirates, DJ just laid this
baseball, baby.
this morning. The Pirates are 4.5 games behind a Cardinals team that's played 5 games.
But they're 9 games out of first now, aren't they, Pirates?
Yeah. It's just totally absurd to me.
In a full season, they'd be 8-35 right now.
What I wanted to ask you, Dave, is it seems like from his latest comments, I remember back about a little over a week ago, Commissioner Rob Manfred said he's not a quitter and he's not about quitting. And basically, they're just gonna push through this, and they're gonna have a season. Uh, Before that, he said, if these tests, the teams keep testing positive and they're not following the protocol, they might have to pull the plug on this. But have your thoughts changed at all as far as the team winning it this year? Because I was talking to DJ this morning and he made some great points. And
what does Yoakley have to say about this?
Even if a team wins it this year, like they're gonna get no parade. Like you can't have a parade or anything like that. So, have your thoughts changed? I mean, how legit do you think a World Series would be? And do you think baseball still is in trouble with finishing the season? Because we've seen guys like Dan Plesac and Mike Clevenger, what they've done violating the protocol. So your thoughts?
Well, one thing, applaud Mr. Manfred. Keep moving forward. I've been talking to people about the merits of winning a World Series in this season, and Indians fans, the general consensus is bring it on. There'll be no different than winning a World Series in any other year. But I'm thinking Yankee fans or Cardinal fans or Giants fans that have had recent success probably won't be as excited. But I'm telling you what, if the Indians win a 60-game season World Series, I'm going to be just as happy as if it was 162. How about you there, D?
I'd have to say, yeah, I'll still celebrate the hell out of it. It would be
my own parade.
It would be super weird not being able to go to the parade. I went to the parade, the Cavaliers parade after they won it in 2016, the first title in it was a little over half of
our lifetime.
Century, 52 years, yeah. And just going there, and then we almost went. I thought we were going to go for the Indians, too, in 2016. And what just a epic World Series, great World Series.
That was your favorite.
Same as the Tribe fan, the Indians came on the short end. But that's one thing that will be super weird, Dave, because I'm such a big-time sports nut, and I consider myself a Cleveland super fan. It'd just be so weird for me and different if the Indians did win it, not even being able to go to the parade. But I'd still be super pumped and celebrate the hell out of it. I mean, it's been over 70 years for the Tribe, been since 1948 since they won one. So at this point, I know I wasn't around for a lot of those years, but still, I'm going to be 32. I haven't seen them win it.
I'll take back right to the second Browns.
What's that?
I have friends your age, and they kind of came back, started being Browns fans after they came back. And I more sympathetic I could not be, Scotty.
In 1999, you mean?
Yeah. How old were you in 1999?
What's that?
How old were you in 1999?
1999, I was. I
could have done the math.
If it wasn't late November, I think I was 10 years old.
All right, so that was like the birth of the Browns for you. And again, I couldn't be more sorry.
Yeah.
Happy Super Day, birthday Eve. Breaking news.
Super Day, birthday Eve. That's right. I'm glad it flashed across our screen here. And I give you a shout out, Super Dave. Happy birthday. I won't give your age out on the year, even though I know it. And that's the one bad thing, Dave, is I always for you anyways, I always look at you because I know you're the same age as my dad. So I always look at you and think, you could be my father.
I could. I will say, any fans of Running Point out there that are watching this show, this is what a guy in their mid-50s is supposed to look like.
Oh, that is fantastic.
I kid.
Dave, what do you think about the other sports as well? The NBA, it looks like things are going really well right now. I mean, they're able to have the bubble format, so you don't know for totally sure 100%. Nobody knows with this pandemic, but it looks like they should be able to crown a champion. But I don't know how much you follow, Dave, but so far it's just totally with this pandemic and the restarting in the bubble format. There's a lot of teams that look great one night and then they look horrible the next. No one's really jumping out and looking phenomenal right now in the NBA. And
the Phoenix Suns are 9-0. They're the only team that's dominating. And Damian Lillard put up 3 60-point games this year, which is
yeah. And you make, but do you legitimately?
It's like summer league. It's almost like summer league.
Do you buy the Suns as a title contender though?
I do not.
I don't.
A couple years ago, I thought the Suns were a couple years away, so this might be the year that they're turning the corner.
And I think there's definitely promising things there. I think Devin Booker is definitely a stud. Eaton has really played well too. So they got some good foundation pieces there, good building blocks. But you're right. I forgot about the Suns, and they have been on a great stretch. But it just I don't feel like I feel like more than ever right now. It's totally wide open, Dave. But
I'm just hoping when the playoffs start, the level of play really increases, and you get to a point where you don't even notice that the fans aren't there. That these players are playing so hard because it's the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping for. Because right now I'm watching it. It is like watching a summer league game.
Yeah, and it's I gotta say, like it's not like I could watch it, but with no fans there, like there's certain sports, and we'll get into this more maybe next week or the week after in the coming week, talking about sports without the fans in the stands. There's certain sports where I think you could definitely feel like there's less of an impact by the fans, or there's the sports where they suffer more without the fans. And I think basketball is one where it's definitely suffering more without the
fans are so much
in attendance because they're so close to the action. They're right there, and definitely in the playoffs, I think they have a tremendous impact. I mean, just look at the Warriors and the great run that they went on, winning 3 titles in 4 seasons, and the great home record that they did have. But who's your favorite right now?
I'm all in for LeBron, baby. I am all in for LeBron.
You're still going LeBron? I feel like most recently, Dave, Anthony Davis has played some great games, but I haven't seen a great game out of LeBron in a while. I know he's been battling a bit of an injury, a groin issue again. I feel like if they're both at their best, nobody's going to beat the Lakers, but I just don't know at LeBron's age. And if Anthony Davis has to be the main guy, the number one, I just don't know if it's how feasible it is. It definitely could happen. I just don't know how feasible it is.
Still got to go through Kawhi.
The whole length of the playoffs.
Still Kawhi. So I'm looking Bucks Lakers is what I want. Now I just read an article where they created a scenario where they traded LeBron for Giannis. And they said who had a better shot of winning with Giannis on the Lakers and LeBron on the Bucks. And what they were saying is that the Giannis Lakers would be way better than the LeBron Bucks. What the story was. I don't know, kind of fun.
I don't know. I think with the Bucks,
I'm not buying it myself.
Some of the guys in the playoffs, they haven't played to their absolute potential. I felt like LeBron could be a more calming influence on the Bucks team. I mean, he has so much playoff experience.
I'm thinking LeBron is better than any team with Giannis.
And he's been through the wars. Giannis is fantastic, but he hasn't proven himself in the playoffs yet. Neither has Anthony Davis, for that matter.
Pelicans are not in the playoffs.
I think they put up great individual numbers, but I don't necessarily agree that with a lot of people you said that are saying that it automatically be a championship and they be, just heads and shoulders above the LeBron Bucks. I can't. I can't get on that train. But what do you think, Super Dave? Two questions for you, real quick, as we close, and again have a
2-minute drill right now
today. But we're running short on time. Just have a couple minutes left. Two things I had for you. Number one, what sport do you think fans have more of an impact? Is it the NBA and NBA basketball right now, or is it the NFL?
See, that's what I haven't really watched many football games without the fans. I was watching a hockey game, and their fans not being there made no difference to me whatsoever. I couldn't even tell. I mean, it was still a very silly sport. All right, the 2-minute drill, baby. Let's do it. And baseball, I am used to watching baseball games. I remember the Tampa Bay Rays being in the playoffs, and their stands were empty. So, I mean, that's not uncommon to see empty seats in baseball. Football's going to be weird. But I think hockey can survive. I think basketball struggles. Baseball can survive, and the jury's still out on football.
Because of the jury's still out, do you think football could possibly it could suffer more than even basketball?
Now, people love watching football, so I don't think the TV ratings will be hurt at all. But
no, I mean as far as the quality of the game with no fans in the stand. Like, do you heard it?
Do you think the players get more fired up than the fans? You would think, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a lot different.
Well, my final thoughts: bring back the fans.
And that's my final thing I have for you, Dave. If no fans are in the stands at all for the NFL this year, which it looks like if they do have a season, it's going to be that way, is a Super Bowl championship and a Super Bowl with no fans, is that still legitimate to you?
I think a Super Bowl is a Super Bowl, especially if you play the entire season. Yeah, I don't think it's fine. All right, 30 seconds. What do you got for me, Scotty?
30 seconds, Dave. 30 seconds left. I just wanted to know from you, what is the best, if any, what is the best sports gift you were ever gifted since it's your birthday?
My girlfriend Gretchen brought me a LeBron James home white jersey, or a white jersey, like 2 weeks after he was drafted. They went on sale.
Oh, his rookie year. Nice.
$1.
Well,
Haven't even worn it.
that's it, and that's all. That's going to do it for Scotty's Hot Takes. Big thanks to the birthday man, Super Dave, and our CEO, DJ Oakley, chiming in as well. Have a great day. Have a good night, everybody.